Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for the AFC STATTO preview show with myself and Dale as we look ahead to Villa's first Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff in 12 years this weekend. Really looking forward to getting to Villa Park for a 3 p.m. game. Not going to know what to do with myself actually having a proper kickoff time, Dale. Before we get into our running order that we've got, how are you?
Yeah, all good, buddy. All good.
Well, good to see you again. Enjoyed doing this the last time. Even that show feels like it was a long time ago. It was only a few weeks ago. But because we didn't play at the last weekend due to the FA Cup, we've missed a week. So, Dale, just on Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs, I'm sure I saw you do a tweet earlier on in the week. If Villa won their last two home 3 p.m. kickoffs, am I right in saying that?
Last two home ones, yeah. We beat, I think Norwich was one.
Yeah, I remember that one in April.
If I go to check the time here on this one, I can put it up. We've beaten Norwich 2-0 in April of 2022 and Southampton 4-0 in March 2022. So, yeah, pretty good record.
Good omens. Been a while. No team should go that long without having a home game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, though. That is absolutely ridiculous. And also what's ridiculous is some of the stuff you come up with, Dale, pre-game. You obviously put a few bits on Twitter through the week in the lead-up. And the first one that we're going to look at today when looking at Aston Villa is that since his debut for the club in September 2020, Ollie Watkins has been involved in more than twice as many Premier League goals as any other Aston Villa player. The number is 40. He's had 29 goals and 11 assists since he joined the club. Now, Dale, Ollie Watkins gets a little bit of stick from certain quarters of the Villa fan base. I've got to say, 11 assists across 2.5 seasons. That surprised me. I feel like he's got a fair few assists this season, actually. But, that's a pretty good record, 11 assists, 29 goals as well in 2.5 seasons. That shows me he's an effective frontman.
He is, yeah. He is. I think he gets a lot of stick because he misses a few. But I think his work rate and his effort leading the line up front on his own is unquestionable. So, yeah, Ollie Watkins has 40. Can you name number 2 and 3?
So we had a little brief discussion about this before we came on air, and I said Grealish, but then he would have only played 3/4 of the season because he missed 3 months of his last season. I'll still throw him in there, though. I'm going to throw in the
joint third.
He's joint third, so he's joint with someone for third place.
Yep.
El Ghazi, maybe?
Nope.
No? Okay.
He is 6th.
I'm struggling there. Really, really struggling. It can't be Danny Ings. I'm not going to guess. It is Danny Ings.
Yeah, Danny second on 19.
19. So Ollie's a way away, actually, from the next one to him. Who's joint third with Grealish?
John McGinn, 16.
That surprised me as well, because I feel like he hasn't scored a goal for a long time.
I know, yeah. Yes, John McGinn, 16, Jack Grealish, 16, Emery Buendia, 13, and our new number 9, Bertrand Traore, with 13.
Yeah, bit of shirt number tomfoolery in the week. I went on the Villa app earlier on in the week to check something, and I looked at it and suddenly saw there was a big number 9 next to Bertie, and I couldn't believe my eyes. So I put a tweet out. That tweet went down quite well. A lot of interactions on that tweet. But yeah, Ollie Watkins, he's having a good season in my book. I've been impressed with him. I think he gets a lot of undue criticism. As you say, Dal, he does miss the odd one-on-one that he should score. But, like we've said, 40 goal involvements in 2.5 years, 29 goals, 11 assists. That is quite the stat, as Zachary Allen says below me on the screen. The second thing we've got when looking at Villa is that Douglas Luiz has the joint most assists and most chances created of any Aston Villa player in the Premier League this season. So that's 4 assists and 23 chances created. I'll continue to wait for the graphic to come up on the screen. Adam, don't worry about it anytime today, and we'll see that graphic just about coming up on the screen now, is it? I can see a blue screen. Here it is. Finally, we get there. Rascal header from Douglas Luiz. Yeah, joint most assists 4 and most chances created 23 of any Villa player in the league this season, Dale. I mean, I guess when you throw it in the set piece tag, which Douglas Luiz now seems to have taken on that mantle, and he's been very effective at it, that probably contributes to some of this.
Yeah, he's been on a bit of form recently. He's been involved in 4 goals in his last 6 league games. He scored against Tottenham, and then he's got an assist against Brighton, Liverpool, and Southampton. So those goal involvements over the last 6 games are as many as he's had in his previous 37. So he's really hit some sort of form now.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting as well because obviously you associate him and Kamara as playing as sixes, but actually Douglas Luiz is given a little bit more license to get forward. I'm not sure if he didn't have Kamara behind him, whether he'd be allowed to go forward as much, but because Kamara is so good, that's allowing us to get Dougie involved further at the pitch. Even the first goal that we scored against Tottenham, that came from him having a shot. I know you don't get any credit for that in any kind of stattage, which is what we're here to do. But, he's on the scene for a lot of our goals nowadays. That's if discounting what we've just talked about.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. If you look at him with Nakamba, he was obviously playing a lot further back, but I think now with Kamara being a Rolls Royce that he is, I think he's got him licensed for him to go forward a bit more.
Yeah, let's give Adam a little bit of warning this time. Adam, I now need the graphic for the third stat for the Villa stat. So Aston Villa have won 5 of their 7 Premier League games under Unai Emery, drawing 1 and losing 1. And that's as many wins as they had in their previous 24 matches in the competition, drawing 6 and losing 13. So, yeah, I mean, how Emery has not picked up Manager of the Month this month, Dale, I have absolutely no idea. A bit of a top club bias going on. Arteta won 2 from 3. Emery won 3 from 4 in January, but Arteta gets Manager of the Month. But Villa's record under him so far, that's an unbelievable record, especially when you look at who we've played as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's been any banker in there. In fact, possibly the easiest game that we've had in there was Wolves, and we drew that one. So we lost to Liverpool as well, who've not won many games in recent times. So actually, when you look at the teams we've beat, you look at the likes of Brighton, Manchester United, they're all going really well. I suppose there was Leeds, which you would expect us to win that game at home. But we're looking good. 5 wins from 7. It is incredible.
Yeah, the Manager of the Month thing, I was looking earlier, and it's a fan poll with like a thing with like a board of like members or something like that who decide it. So I presume Arsenal fans have been clicking that button for the last week to vote for Arteta.
Fair enough.
I was thinking, like when a new manager comes in, like it's often called like a new manager bounce if you start winning loads of games. At what point does it stop becoming a new manager bounce under Emery and it just becomes
the norm?
This is how Villa play, and I was thinking that earlier.
Maybe Saturday. We're into February now. Maybe if we win on Saturday, this is just Villa are a really good outfit now. Villa are a side to watch. I've heard a few managers speak about us in recent times. I've read some stuff on The Athletic this morning from Greg talking about the way Emery works, which I found fascinating, and we'll cover that on Monday's podcast when we bring 1874 back. But it's quite clear that Unai Emery is the real deal and that the players have bought into it, and that stat alone shows that Villa were absolute pish under Steven Gerrard. So we have no right really to be as good as we are now, or at least as effective as we are now, considering how bad and porous and terrible going forward we were under Steven Gerrard. So credit to Emery, credit to the players. That's a lovely stat, and hopefully we can carry that on. And going into Saturday, we are of course playing Leicester City now, and it's now time to look at them a little bit. And since the Premier League restarted after the World Cup break, no team has lost more games or won fewer points than Leicester City. Of course, he's brought up the wrong stat. Of course he has. Thank you very much, Adam. So since the Premier League's returned after the World Cup, Leicester have got the worst record in the Premier League, it seems, Dale. Adam, get that graphic off the screen, for goodness sake.
Yeah. So Leicester, since the World Cup break, Leicester have lost to Newcastle, Liverpool, Fulham and Nottingham Forest. But they did draw with Brighton last time out, which is a pretty decent result looking at Brighton's form, I guess.
Here it is.
But what is interesting is that Leicester had won 4 of their 5 previous Premier League games before the World Cup, keeping a clean sheet in all of those victories. So it looks like the World Cup break was a terrible time for them.
Yeah, because we've kind of carried on in the same vein. We'd obviously won 2 games before the World Cup came, and we've carried on in the same kind of vein, the same kind of form. Leicester, you kind of felt, they've sorted themselves out there. That's good for them. They're back to what they are before. Probably end up finishing in the top half, but they have gone back to how they were at the start of the season. I do think a massive part of that has been that bites at the wheel. I do think a big part of that is probably James Maddison has been missing. Now he was back for their last game, and they drew 2-2 against Palace. Was it Palace? I believe at home. So Maddison coming back. A bit like when Villa had this with Grealish. When Maddison's in the team, they're a lot more effective, Leicester, and it is a shame for us that he's back.
Yeah, I've got another stat for you there.
Go on,
you want it?
Yeah, I want it. Always want your stats.
Yes, James Maddison's been directly involved in 18 goals in his last 17 Premier League starts for Leicester, 11 goals, 7 assists. So yeah, when he starts, he scores or assists basically. So
yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for that record as well, because he's
yeah,
not, that's a player playing for like a top team's record you'd expect. Maddison in 2022, his stats were ridiculous. Actually, fair play to him. He's such a good player, James Maddison. Really is. He can't be at Leicester much longer. He's too good for them, unfortunately for them. But yeah, his goal involvements this season have been absolutely incredible. And when he doesn't play, Leicester look just devoid of any kind of idea going forward, any kind of creativity. But unfortunately for us, I mean, in some ways, I'd always like watching the good players play at Villa Park when I go to the Villa, but I'd rather James Maddison was missing for this one, because I do think he's really influential for Leicester. Let's see if Bates can get this one up then. Leicester's Harvey Barnes has been directly involved in 5 goals in his 4 Premier League starts against Aston Villa. That's 4 goals and 1 assist for Harvey Barnes. So a player that enjoys playing against us, Dale, although from watching Leicester recently, he's missed a fair few big chances recently. I think if you look at their stats, he's guilty of missing big chances throughout the season as well. But what appears to be in the past, Harvey Barnes doesn't miss big chances against Villa.
No, the one that stands out the most to me is the one in the 4-0 win when Pepe Reina came out of his box for no reason at all. And here Barnes just took it past him. So like I said, Barnes has scored 4 against Villa. He's only ever scored more against Leeds, which is 5. He's 1 short of 50 career league goals, but he scored in all 5 of Leicester's wins this season. So he's one to watch for sure.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit dangerous. I do find these shows make me a little bit nervy in some ways. I'm feeling quite confident going into Saturday, and as a couple of things that we've talked about here have come in, it's progressed my feelings to a little bit more of doubt. Harvey Barnes is a good player on his day, as we know with wingers. A little bit inconsistent, but that's what happens unless you're an elite club. You as a wide player, generally you tend to be inconsistent. And Jamie Vardy's, I feel like, must have a semi-decent record against Villa as well, although I think he's a doubt for the weekend. He had some good days celebrating in front of the whole tent, so hopefully he doesn't play. We're going to finish then with peak Villa. So every week there's always something that you could label at Villa that would be peak Villa, and this one is an absolute belter this week. Aston Villa have never kept a home Premier League clean sheet against I can't even say it. Villa have never kept a home Premier League clean sheet against Leicester City. I'm absolutely baffled by that, because Leicester, quite a lot of times in the Premier League, have been rubbish, but yet we've still never managed to keep a clean sheet against them. We've even kept clean sheets against Manchester United, who we've got a woeful record against in Premier League history, as me and you discussed before we came on, but that is awful.
Yeah, it's 13 home games in total without a clean sheet against Leicester, which is the 3rd worst record in Premier League history. So only Middlesbrough against Man United at home, which is 15 times, and Fulham against Man City, which is 14 times, have played more home games without ever keeping a clean sheet than Villa's 13 against Leicester. So it's a pretty grim one.
Yeah, that's staggering that you can go that long without keeping a clean sheet against a team like Leicester, who, with all due respect, obviously I know they've won the Premier League. I know they've had some good years in recent times, but generally though, you associate them with being nearer the bottom than the top. I remember a game when I was a kid, and Twitter has been talking about that this week, when Villa were 4-1 up against Leicester, drew 4-4. I've interviewed Brian Little before, and he took the blame for that. But to be 4-1 up and not beat them then. Leicester were a real bogey team for Villa under Brian Little and John Gregory at one point, especially Brian Little. We just couldn't get anything right against them. Southgate always used to have a nightmare against Emile Heskey. I remember him giving away penalties against him, getting sent off, I think, in one game, playing up against Heskey as well. This was young Heskey. He was a bit more prolific than older Heskey, who we saw at Villa. And yeah, just the record against Leicester doesn't feel like it's brilliant at Villa Park in general, and it can't be if we've never kept a clean sheet.
Yes, we didn't beat Leicester in our first 11 Premier League games from 1994 to 2000.
I remember. I can tell you who scored the winner in that game as well when we did beat them. It's 2000, 2001. We beat them 2-1, and Hendry scored the winner, I think.
I'll tell you now.
Dion Dublin and Hendry. You don't need to tell me. I think I've got that. I remember that. I remember that being a big win to me in the whole end as a kid. I was delighted. Confirmed. I can't remember who scored their goal. I haven't got that in me. I just remember Dublin's goal being really dodgy. It was one of those ones where the keeper caught it and he landed on the line. but it counted. This is before goal line technology. Obviously, I'm old. And Simon Royce was in goal for Leicester, I think, and he kind of landed like on the line, but the linesman gave it, so it was a little bit suspect. And then Hendry scored the winner in front of the whole tent. So I remember that because it was a big thing for me. I used to really hate that we couldn't seem to beat Leicester for some reason. So as a kid, I remember being absolutely delighted that we managed to do it that day in 2001. So yeah, that's peak Villa for this week, and that's us for this week as well on the AVFC STATTO preview show. Thanks ever so much for those who've tuned in and for those that are going to tune in as well. I really like this show. Something different. I like learning all these stats. I see your stats on Twitter through the week, and then I get to talk about them the day before a game as well. So thanks ever so much, Dale, because let's face it, it's you doing all the legwork here. You doing all the prep work as well. So thanks for coming on and chatting with me. Thanks to Adam for getting about 25% of the things that he was supposed to get right in this show right. Well done to him. That's an improvement on recent shows. And thanks to Luke Roper as well for continuing to sponsor us. If you want to get 20% off everything they have to offer, including the new Dapper Villain range, then use the code TVV20 and you'll get your 20% off. We'll be back with a post-match point on Sunday night at some point. Thanks, Dean and Liz. Thank you. Appreciate that. Adam flashing it up on the screen, interrupting my outro, but we do appreciate that. Thank you very much. As I say, we'll be back for the post-match point on Sunday. See some of you at Villa Park tomorrow if you go in, and up the Villa.